Bună ziua, stimați utilizatori ai portalului de știri nordnews.md. Astăzi realizăm un interviu cu Excelența Sa, Ambasadorul Lituaniei în Republica Moldova, domnul Kestutis Kudzmanas. Bine v-am găsit, domnule ambasador!
Bună ziua!
Excelență, am trecut și continuăm să trecem printr-o perioadă foarte dificilă pentru întreaga lume. Mă refer la pandemia de COVID-19. Cum se desfășoară procesul de vaccinare în țara dumneavoastră și cum a ajutat statul oamenii de afaceri în această perioadă?
Thank you so much. Indeed, pandemic is common challenge for the whole world. It's maybe not the first time when we're facing such a challenge, but it's the first time when it's paradox, but due to pandemic we became closer, and indeed states is trying to help each other. The whole world is trying to help each other through vaccinations, financial support, in order to recover economy, recover population, even recover political situation in some countries, you know. And Lithuania is facing the same challenge as Moldova. Maybe if you compare vaccination, indeed we are maybe even leaders in the region in vaccination. Lithuania has opportunity to choose, Lithuanian population has opportunity to choose various vaccines. We important almost all possible vaccines which is approved by European Health Organization. And I may say that our population going to the vaccination points with enthusiasm. I know that there are some conspiracy theories about these theories, and it's doing a big harm. I think it's doing for big harm for society, and you can see that in some regions certain groups of population avoid of vaccination. But I think we should trust that, because science is modern science, modern possibilities we have. And it's only one way, way to fight this COVID pandemic through vaccination. And from other side, indeed, we're ready to share our experience with our colleagues with Moldova, how to recover after the vaccination. Indeed, Lithuanian government, European Union allocated special funds for recovery, for stabilization of economy, and use also think about their partners, Eastern partners, especially association partners about Moldova, who also receiving significant support from EU side and from member states.
Domnule ambasador, ați menționat anterior despre sprijinul reciproc și despre faptul că Lituania este alături de Republica Moldova într această grea perioadă. Cunoaștem că Lituania va dona Republicii Moldova 11.000 de doze de vaccin. Pe lângă acest ajutor, pe lângă serul anticovid, cu ce ne va mai ajuta țara dumneavoastră în această perioadă?
Thank you so much. Indeed, our president, during visit to Moldova, it was a few weeks ago, during meeting with Madam President Maia Sandu, announced that Lithuania is donating 200,000 doses of vaccine to association partners, means to Ukraine, Georgia and Moldova, and they will distribute proportionally to the size of population to those three countries. And right now we allocated 11,000 doses of vaccine to our partner Moldova. Besides that, we were also delivering face shields for medical workers. We bring with military plane, cargo plane, aid to medical workers for Moldova. Besides that, you know that European Union is providing significant support to fight COVID through COVAX systems, through financial support, macro-financial support, as I mentioned, not only to fight COVID, but also we need to think about the recovery of economy. And we're cooperating for a long time with Moldova. Lithuania is your very close partner. If we look in 10 years, Lithuania also implemented more than 12 training programs in Moldova, Lithuanian institutions. Our experts from Lithuania, as you high-level experts working in Moldova, only our embassy, we implemented more than 130 projects, development cooperation projects in Moldova. We support your civil society, developing civil society, of course, focusing on strengthening your institutions, strengthening democracy, strengthening rule of law, fighting corruption. Besides that, not only judiciary and corruption is among priorities, we need to focus also on other issues, healthcare system, custom office, taxes, and so on. And you know that our experience, we're also country in transition, and our experience is relevant to your needs, and we're ready to share our experience and to continue our help in order to accelerate your integration process.
Republica Lituania este un bun exemplu pentru Republica Moldova atât în procesul democratizării cât și al modernizării, dar este și un fidel prieten țării noastre. Cum credeți, ce ar trebui să mai învețe oficialii noștri de la elita dumneavoastră politică?
Thank you so much. Question is very interesting. Indeed, if you compare now Lithuania and Moldova, we may say that 30 years ago we were almost in the same position, and now Lithuania, and quite quickly Lithuania, moved towards European Union, towards NATO. And if you compare our country like it was 30 years ago, so now indeed Lithuania became a modern and fast developed country. All the 70 years are members of EU, and we invested a lot in capacity building of our civil workers, of our institutions, you know, strengthening our institutions. But most important thing, what you can learn from Lithuanian institutions, all our parties, all our political forces were united in choosing one direction, developing direction. In order to guarantee prosperity and developing a country, we decided to join the European Union. Doesn't matter. Right parties, left parties, central parties, we have one vector, you know. Compared to other countries or to Moldova, sometimes one party is trying to from Moldova to one side, another party to another side, you know. And some of these vectors will be like zero, you know. It's important to choose one vector. And even now, we have various parties, one coalitions, but our foreign vector policy is one, you know. So we have consensus in our foreign vector policy, in our security policy, or other policies. So our parties inside, we have political fight, but outside we are like one united country.
Excelență, la sfârșitul lunii martie s-au împlinit tocmai 17 ani de când Lituania se află în componența atât a Uniunii Europene cât și a NATO. Care a fost impactul acestei aderări asupra politicii și infrastructurii țării pe care o reprezentați?
Thank you. Indeed, we applied for membership in European Union and NATO in 1994. And it took for us 10 years of very hard work in order to be prepared to enter EU, to enter single market, to increase our competitiveness. We invested a lot. We invested billions of dollars in order to build new economy, new infrastructure, ports, roads, you know, a new security system, and to become independent and to create free market relations. And indeed, when we became members of EU, we became one of the fastest growing countries of EU. And not only the moment of entering in 2004, but all before 10 years, we were preparing for transition. And this it took us a transition period, and it even did not stop, because EU developing, and we need to develop together with EU. And as you mentioned, joining of EU, it means it was a big accelerator of our economy. Of course, we are receiving significant support from EU, macro-financial support, and use this money for environmental issues, to develop our infrastructure, to develop our green economy, and we're focused on the green economy. And we're also ready to support Moldova, especially to change to energy, to increase energy efficiency, green technologies, and so on. So indeed, EU was like a good opportunity, and opportunity not only for Lithuania, for any countries, you know. And the results shows that we're right, that only way for success, for prosperity of country was to join EU. And second part of your question regarding NATO, yes, we also applied for NATO in 1994, and it also took for us 10 years to be prepared to join NATO. And NATO is umbrella, security umbrella for for all countries members of NATO. And again, we can see that we not only feel safe and under the umbrella of NATO, it gives additional value because a safe country means opportunities for investors. Our membership to NATO had positive effect into attracting modern technologies, billions of dollars of investors into the greenfield now, into our free economic zones. So it's double effect: security plus economy, prosperity. Of course, as a member of NATO, we achieved 2% of recommended percentage of GDP to the defense sector. In our case, it's 1 billion of euros. It's maybe to Moldova seems that it's a huge amount of money, 1 billion for defense sector, but it's only 0.1% of the total NATO members' budget. You know that NATO budget is more than 1,000 trillion of euros, and our part is extremely small, but we have benefits of the same security as all members of NATO.
Excelență, vă rog să ne spuneți de ce Chișinăul nu are atâta curaj precum a avut Vilniusul după destrămarea URSS-ului. Ce ne-ar lipsi nouă?
Thank you. Indeed, Lithuania was the first country of former Soviet Union which declared of restoration of our independence in March of 1990. And the Moldova was brave enough and have courage to recognize Lithuanian independence. Moldova was the first country in the world which recognized restoration of independence after 2 months of our act of independence. Thank you so much for Moldovan people for that. And for us, it took 2 or 3 years of discussions. Which way to choose? Indeed, we think about neutral country, like neutrality, like Moldova, for example, or to create a kind of economic bloc like Baltic states, 3 Baltic states, or even some other scenarios. But after 3 or 4 years of discussion, it's short period, 3 or 4 years, in 1994, all our political parties, all our political movements, all our civil society organizations had consensus that we need to choose a pro-European way, pro-Western way to join EU and NATO. So we have one vector of development. And our society supported us. It was very high support from society. 70-80% of society supported our road we to choose. In your case, I can see some kind of polarization in your country. Of course, I need to mention Transnistria conflict, which had a significant influence not only to security system of Moldova, not only to polarization of country, but also in order to attract foreign investors, to have stability, some kind of political stability. And first, maybe what was more clear which way we should choose. And what I can say, you can only look what Lithuania achieved, and it could be sample for Moldova, which way maybe you should choose in future. Thank you so much.
Vă rog să ne spuneți, în prezent, pe ce se bazează dezvoltarea economică a Lituaniei? Întreb pentru că propagandiștii de la Kremlin afirmă că doar datorită moștenirii sovietice, Lituania a ajuns astăzi acolo unde este, în marea familie europeană.
We need to separate this question in 2 parts. If you come back to former Soviet Union times, indeed Lithuania was heavily industrialized. We have a lot of scientific research institutes which were working for Moscow. We have quite well developed light industry or chemical industry, fertilizers industry, oil refineries and so on. But they were prepared to work into market of planning economy market in Soviet Union. And unfortunately, these factories, these companies were not able to compete with the single market, with European Union free market opportunities. And we understand very quickly that our economy is not efficient, and we need to change a lot. Energy, we need to work on energy efficiency, on on different free market relations, and we need to think about quality, not quantity, but quality. This is the most important thing. We still have some of these factories, like fertilizers factories, oil refinery, but we invested billions of euros in order to modernize these factories. De facto, it's new companies. It's not heritage of Soviet Union. It's absolutely new companies, still producing fertilizers or I mentioned oil refinery. Our port, Klaipėda port, doubled cargo amounts through Klaipėda port and achieved 55 million tons per year. It's also part of our new modern economy. We're country of transit, transport and transit country. Almost 40% of our GDP is coming from transport and transit sector. Of course, we developed new part of GDP. It's services. 60-70% of our GDP is from service sector. We developed tourism. We developed new high and modern technologies. We are now very well known country in the world as country of biotechnologies, or country of IT technologies, country with startups and even in laser technology. We're leading in the world. We're number 11 in doing index in the world, number 8 in biotechnology in the world. So we became modern country, and you cannot find now something from previous Soviet period. We're a different country, and we're lucky.
Excelență, de la începutul anilor 90 ai secolului trecut, atât Lituania cât și Estonia și Letonia au fost ajutate foarte mult de către țările scandinave. Vă rog să ne spuneți cât de credibil a fost Vilniusul pentru mari investitori.
Thank you so much. Indeed, you mentioned countries, our neighbors. These countries around the Baltic Sea. We have common sea, Baltic Sea, And by the way, we're working a lot to preserve the environment in Baltic Sea and to clean the sea, to keep this sea very clean. Indeed, from the beginning of 90s, we started to develop free economy relations. We started to build open economy, export-oriented economy, and started the process of privatization and the process of attracting investors. We're working to ensure a level playing field for all investors, equal opportunities for everybody, for local investors, from Lithuania business community, and from outside. And we became attractive country for investors from one side. From other side, the process of privatization allowed us to attract billions of dollars at that time, And the main investors were from the United States, from Germany, also from Russia at the time. Now it's less, but the most important thing is that we create opportunities for investors. And since Scandinavian countries are our neighbors, it's natural that they were first which came to our market, to our economy as investors, but not only investors. We had very close cooperation, and we received a lot of expertise for them through FIRE program, EU5 program. We also had a lot of twinning projects. We have a lot of experts working in various fields, and we're working to strengthening our institutions, to strengthen the capabilities of our civil servants. And now we're ready to share this experience in Moldova.
Excelență, care au fost rolul partidelor politice în procesul aderării la Uniunea Europeană și cum a reacționat însăși societatea la această integrare?
Indeed, it's important to understand the difference, as I mentioned before, between situation in Moldova and Lithuania. After 2 years of discussion, as I mentioned, in 1994, all our parties, left, central, right, signed memorandum which declared on consensus that our future is EU. And after signing the memorandum, we applied for membership to EU, and we received very high support from our society, from 70 to 80% of our society. According to polls, we are supporting our membership to EU.
Excelență, Lituania se învecinează cu enclava Federației Ruse cu regiunea Kaliningrad. Cunoaștem că pe acest teritoriu au loc multe exerciții militare. Vă rog să ne spuneți care este potențialul economic al acestui teritoriu îndeosebi după anul 2013.
Indeed, from one side, geographical location gives a lot of opportunities to this region. But unfortunately, due to the current Russian policy, due to the sanctions from the world to Russia, economic development is not as high as it could be. Indeed, Lithuania, our business is investing into Kaliningrad region, Poland, Germany, but due to heavy militarization and due to specific situation in Russia, I think that investors now are not so keen to invest in such a region, you know. And many of reasons, you know. First of all, for example, Lithuania, we're trying to build open economy and to ensure level playing field for everyone. In case of Russia, you know that there are some administrative resources, and you depend not on the free market association, but on goodwill of local administration, and it gives certain disadvantages for foreign investors.
Domnule ambasador, relațiile diplomatice între Republica Moldova și Republica Lituania au fost stabilite tocmai pe 8 iulie 1992. Care sunt, de fapt, cele mai însemnate realizări pe parcursul acelor 29 de ani de la stabilirea relațiilor diplomatice?
Thank you so much. Indeed, as ambassador of Lithuania to Moldova, I'm very glad that we have very high level of our political relations, and economic relations also developing, and even recent visits show that we pay special attention to Moldova from Lithuania. I may say that Moldova, and as the Eastern Partnership countries, is one of the main vectors of our foreign policy, and to continue our expertise support, sending experts, cooperating in various fields, strengthening cooperation in various fields between our institutions. And what is important, we see that Moldova is attractive, especially after you signed association agreement 6 years ago. You became especially attractive for our investors, and I may say that you became one of the most successful association members of EU. Your export achieved 2/3 of your export going to European unions, and you give additional opportunities. And also Lithuania would like to use these opportunities in order to expand economic relations between the countries. So our political dialogue is on very high level, and economic potential is also very high, but still needs to be explored in future.
Acestea fiind spuse, domnule ambasador, oare este pregătită Lituania să aprofundeze și să extindă cooperarea atât comercială, cât și economică și de investiții în Republica Moldova?
Thank you. Indeed, association agreement and DCFTA, Deep Comprehensive Free Area, give additional momentum into developing relations between Moldova and European Union member states. And to use this momentum, Lithuanian investors coming to Moldova, we have some successful cases. For example, Lithuania is investing in your financial sector. Lithuanian company bought 41% of shares of your MAIB, Moldova and Grudas Bank. It's a very successful investment, and we're planning to continue investing in your financial sector. Also in food processing industry, our business community is planning to invest, coming from time to time. From other side, it also gives for Moldova opportunities to expand your export. Not only winery industry is beautiful and very strong industry you need to develop, and the European market needs your wine industry, but also in some other fields, especially you may focus on the new technologies with high value added products, high tech, IT technologies and so on. So it's future.
Domnule ambasador, în Republica Lituania, tocmai 5,8% din populație este constituită de către etnia rusă, iar 6,6% de către cea poloneză. Care sunt politicile statului pentru a promova o armonie interetnică?
Indeed, Lithuania is quite a homogeneous country. 90% of our Lithuania are Lithuanians, 90%. And as you mentioned, about 5% Russian-speaking community, also Polish-speaking community, also 5-6%. But I need to mention that this Russian-speaking and Polish-speaking communities are very well integrated in our society. Besides that, we have other communities also, Tatar community or Jewish community or Ukrainian community or Belarus community, and they are very well integrated, and we do not feel any tensions between various nationalities, between various religions in our country. We even give additional financial support, so-called financial basket, to people in the schools, if it's not non-Lithuanian schools, Russian-speaking schools or Polish-speaking schools. And for example, if you are from Polish minority, you may go to kindergarten with Polish-speaking kindergarten or Polish school, state-owned schools, the Polish-speaking, even to university in Polish or Russian group. So in Lithuania, maybe it's a bit different from other Baltic states, due to this small percentage of non-Lithuanians, we do not have any ethnicity or religious tensions in our country.
Domnule ambasador, în Republica Moldova, în ultima perioadă, se vorbește tot mai des despre politica descentralizării. Cum stau lucrurile la acest capitol în Lituania? Cum sunt finanțate autoritățile locale?
Indeed, we started this policy of decentralization already 20 years ago, and it gives positive effect. So we know that even our municipalities, Association of Lithuanian Municipalities, have several projects with Moldovan municipalities, and you learning from our experience. It is important to support local municipalities, to give them additional powers, because they are maybe more informed about local needs about local communities, where needs need more concentrate, and it also gives positive effect. It's part of democracy. The decentralization is part of democracy. It's of growing democratic society.
Excelență, fenomenul corupției și, din păcate, cel al injustiției sunt probleme grave cu care se confruntă țara noastră de o bună bucată de timp. Ce atitudine are Uniunea Europeană față de ceea ce se întâmplă actualmente în Republica Moldova?
Indeed, if you look to the World Index of Perception of Corruption, 20 or 25 years ago, Lithuania and Moldova were on similar positions, but unfortunately moved to the different directions. Now in Lithuania, perception of corruption index is very low, and unfortunately Moldova moved to the other side, Indeed, as you can see, your president and the European Union are focusing on fighting corruption. Corruption is not only a big issue for society, it's part of national security. And therefore, it should be fighting of corruption should be one of priority of your political elite. From other side, also focusing on strengthening your independence of judiciary system. It's also extremely important to recover confidence of governmental institutions for society. You need to regain trust from your population, from your voters, And these two problems are of paramount importance. Corruption and the independent judicial system, it's of paramount importance to building new modern society. And we are again ready to support you in this.
Domnule ambasador, între 2001 și 2004, dumneavoastră ați fost ministru consilier economic al Ambasadei Lituaniei în Federația Rusă. Ce ne-ați putea spune despre calitatea oficialilor ruși, dar și despre politica promovată de către Moscova?
Yeah, indeed. More than 7 years ago, I was working in Moscow, as you mentioned, and I met a lot of bright persons, smart persons, which were working on reforms, which were pro-European. I may say, you mentioned Larionov, which unfortunately now is in the United States, not again in Russia. I can mention Yukos, for example, Khodorkovsky. Yukos at the time was investor into Lithuanian oil sector, refinery, is about Lithuanian refinery, and some others representatives from economic, political sector, which were working on building closer relations with EU. Unfortunately, as you may see, Russia changed, and not in the positive way, especially after annexation of Crimea, after events in eastern part of Ukraine, and all this pro-European, pro-Western, and reform-orientated politicians and representatives from various governmental sectors are now not in Russia. They are all in Europe, in various think tanks, or United States. They left Russia. So, unfortunately, of course, Lithuania and EU, it's our interest to have democratic Russia, prosperous Russia, but due to recent events, you may see that our relations are developing in the other direction, sanctions and so on. And we hope that time will come and Russia became democratic society.
Excelență, din 2018, dumneavoastră sunteți ambasadorul Republicii Lituania în Republica Moldova. Vă rog să ne spuneți cum credeți, cum și în ce condiții am putea noi să devenim membri ai marii familii europene.
Thank you so much. Indeed, as you can see, Lithuania is supporting association members, Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, supporting your Euro integration aspirations. And if you express such a will to become a member of EU, of course, Lithuania will put all efforts to support your membership. But the ball is on your side. Your people, your voters should choose which direction you will choose during the, for example, elections. Your party is offering various scenarios for developing your country. And since Moldova is a democratic country and you'll have democratic elections, so your people should choose where you want to go, on which direction, and answer should be from your side, from Moldova. If you are ready, also we'll be ready. 6 years ago, you signed association agreement with European Union, and already now European Union and member states providing huge support. More than 1 billion euros were allocated for needs of Moldova from European side in various grants and other support programs, you know. Also from member states, you're receiving huge support. And already now, with every year, you're getting closer and closer. Of course, there is some conditionality. We are obliged to support you, as I mentioned, macro-financial support, expertise, but also from your side, you also need to make some homework, to implement some reforms, and it's also important quality of reforms. And as I mentioned already a few times before, European Union and member states were ready to give necessary support in your Euro integration process.
Excelență, vă mulțumesc foarte mult că ați acceptat invitația noastră.
Mersi mult!
Stimați utilizatori ai portalului de știri nordnews.md, vă mulțumesc și dumneavoastră că ați rămas alături de noi. Pe curând!